Okay, so just quickly before we begin this episode, just one final plug for Stu Westfield and Ranger Ultras. So Stu is putting on the PB 270 and the PB 137. So that follows the Pennine Bridle Way. It's full length from Middleton Top all the way up to Kirkby Stevens. So it's about 3 weeks away, so you've still got time to enter if you want to. It's a great race. It's getting better every year, and the support is out there for it. Loads of volunteers, and you'll have an amazing race experience. So you can either do the full 270 kilometers, or you can do the 137, so from part way through to the end. So all the infrastructure's there ready for everybody to pass through. So why not use it? So 85 miles or the longer distance, I can't remember what it is in miles, but look it up. So Ranger Ultras, if you go onto rangerultras.co.uk, you'll see all the information there, and tell Stu that I sent you. Okay, on with the show. Okay, so welcome to the Ultra Running Sam podcast, Kris King.
Hi, how are you?
How's it going, Kris?
Yeah, good. You just threw me off there. I wasn't thinking. I heard the recording and then didn't realize that actually we were recording. So yeah, no, I was sorry for the delay there. Yeah. Hi. How are you?
Good. Yeah, nice one. Thanks for coming on. I know we've tried to do this before. I've been pestering you for a while actually, but because you're a busy man and you've been on your bit of a hiatus from things. I saw a golden opportunity when I saw that you were announced on social media that you were taking all offers from every direction.
So, how self-righteous of me, eh? I do cringe sometimes at my own bloody stuff like that, but yeah, it has been a while. I've just said no to a lot of stuff because I've just been focusing on very particular things, but I'm just starting to come back into the world, so no, it's good to chat. It's good to chat. I think the last time we spoke or tried to set up, it was like pre-Spine Christmas period, wasn't it? Which is just a write-off. Yeah, it's just a write-off that period of time. So just that everyone and their dog is calling at that time of year. So this time of year it's no quieter, but no, it's good. I'm excited to chat.
Yeah, spring is in the air.
That's it. Well, it does feel, I don't know about what it's like with you, but it does feel kind of appropriate weather for Spine podcast recording at the minute because it's absolutely blowing a hoolie outside, smashing with rain against the window, and I'm not used to that down here on the south coast. So yeah,
it's always sunshine.
Is it coincidence that it's been sunny for the last few days, and then we do a podcast that might be Spine heavily related, and it starts pouring down with rain? I don't know.
Well, we won't talk too much about the Spine because from some of my vocal listeners and viewers, I get a bit of abuse for going on about the Spine too much. So
yeah, I don't want to harp on about it.
So we won't hammer that too much. But so basically, then, for people who aren't aware of who you are, a lot of people will know who you are if they are connected with the Spine, etc. So could you sort of give us the rundown on basically your background in running, how you got to where you are now, and what you're doing now in that space, and how you got to where you are, basically?
Okay, so I've kind of gone full circle. I've either been running, coaching people to run, or designing ultramarathons for about 15, 16 years now. So I started off as an athlete that developed into a coach, developed into a race director and an event company owner. And now, not that I'm wanting to stop RDing or doing that, but I am trying to wrestle with becoming some sort of runner athlete again. So I'm kind of gone full circle. I kind of stopped. I have run still for the last couple of years, but nothing what would some of these listeners will be far better than me at the minute. But yeah, just starting to get back into things there. My day job, when I wake up in the morning, is predominantly working for Beyond the Ultimate, which is a series of international multi-day events. And we've got one here in the UK, and then 2020, the Spine race and Beyond the Ultimate kind of merged. at the beginning of COVID. So the teams kind of joined up, so yeah, I've been involved with that side of things as well. I spent the first year to most of 2020 just kind of watching, listening, observing, and staying out of the way. And then I've been handed some particular projects, nothing massive. The spine pretty much runs itself, but I just get a particular project put on my desk and try and squirrel away at that. So a bit of everything really. I've done a bit of everything, and yeah, just trying to become some sort of runner again. It's different now, different with businesses and kids and all that kind of stuff. But no, it's exciting. It's exciting.
So what was the reason for your kind of hiatus? Was that just sort of focusing on business, or because you're obviously like a fairly recent new dad, aren't you? So was all these things all come together at once to make you make that decision?
I just got burnout. I couldn't do it all. You know, I think if you're running and coaching at the same time, you can just about do it. But I think you coach a bit as well, don't you, Sam? So you'll probably realize like
that's hard to keep up with.
the more you want to run and focus on yourself, the less you coach, and the more you focus on the coaching, the less you run. It's the same. And the same as if anyone chucks in their effort into work, whatever their job is, they're probably going to run less. If you want to be up at the top of races and stuff like that, then you've got to be relatively selfish with your time and prioritize it. And that just, business work, COVID made me busier than ever because of just the kind of swinging and ducking and diving we had to do to kind of move the event company around and adjust like everyone did in COVID. But then, yeah, throw into the mix, I'm a relatively new dad. I've got a 2-year-old, and the journey to have her wasn't as clear cut, and that was quite a journey in itself. So yeah, it's just been to be hyper focused on the things that matter. A friend of mine described this phase of life of being in the trenches. So if anyone's got young children and maybe a new company, they might recognize that period of time. I'm in that, and yeah, I just had to kind of knock some stuff on the head because family life was I was listening to feedback, let's say, from people at home. And yeah, I just tried in an effort to be more present, strip back my things. So yeah, so that was it really.
You've only got so much time and energy, haven't you, in life? And you've got to, yeah, if you haven't got your priorities right, then someone will tell you, won't they? You'll be reminded.
Yeah, and you know what? And I've still not got it right. I've still not got the balance right, but I've got to ultimately try and do the things that make me happy. And I've still not got it right on work-life balance. And I don't think anyone really. We all try and crack it, don't we? And stuff. We've all, if we're honest with ourselves, probably mismatched in some way. But yeah, so I've kind of come to this point now where I haven't got more time, but it's linked to things that I'm doing. So I've got a few running things that I aim to do, but they're kind of like a year or two away. So we can kind of slowly build up to that. And the whole idea is that the team's building and sorry, I think it was, did I not tell you that I shut my emails down? Sorry, what a poor podcast guest.
I didn't hear anything.
Did you not? Oh, sorry.
No.
Oh, damn it, I could have got away with that. But yeah, so the team's growing and moving and things are adjusting. So I'm kind of planning the next 6, 12, 24 months to have some time where I can focus on that kind of stuff. So yeah.
So what is the plan then for you running? What have you got set in stone?
So I've been kind of vocal recently about I'm quite keen to attempt to be one of the fastest people to run the Southwest Coast Path. So whenever it's a very good record that stands at the minute. Christian Morgan's a fantastic runner, and I feel like a bit of a fraud by saying that that's my intention now because I am nowhere near fit enough. Normally what would happen is you train for it, then say you're going to do it and then do it. I've kind of said that I'm doing it dead early just because I'm being really honest with everyone and myself and actually want to bring a lot of people on the journey with me. So if people live on the South Coast, I want to run with them. If there's other people that fancy the record, I'm really open at training with them. So, I think it's just the journey I'm more focusing on. I actually like the idea of spending a lot of time on the coast path and exploring it and recceing it and spending long weekends on the coast. And the kind of record is the long goal, but it's not the area. I'm trying to focus on the journey more than the record. When it gets close to record time and I'm fit, ignore everything I've said, it'll be 100% on the record. But yeah, so that's where I am at the minute. And then there's, I have in my own head got, dreams much bigger than that. But one step at a time. That's a very time consuming thing for me to take on, you know, weekends and days at a time, kind of exploring that kind of stuff. So yeah, I'm going to take it one day at a time. I'm just back in training regularly, kind of losing the dad bod, and getting back into that kind of stuff. So that's good.
What's the exact route then of that, South? Where does it start and finish then exactly?
So it's Minehead to Poole, and it's a 638-mile trail, just a ton of vertical. It's either up or down or on a cambered beach. Yes. But Poole, so most people attempt it Poole to Minehead.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. I'd seen people do it that way. Yeah.
So they attempt it, and the reason for that is there's a couple of boat crossings early on and a couple of like gun ranges that you have to get timing right before you can go.
I know them, yeah.
The start line or finish line is exactly 5 kilometers from my house. So I can't think of anything worse than running that way.
Yeah.
And then, you know, I like the idea of running home. Yeah. So the reason this all started is because obviously I go by the Southwest Coast Path sign pretty much every time I go over on the chain ferry because I live down in Poole. And I know the first 30-ish miles up to Weymouth. I know that bit, and I know a bit of the next bit. I'm kind of lost at any section beyond that. But I kind of just was in this position where, like when I lived, I used to live in the Pennines. I used to live in Hope for a while. And I always used to look at the Pennine Way as a thing that before bloody John Kelly and Damien Hall started getting stupid on it. You know, so where I feel like Christian Morgan's is a fantastic record. And I feel like if the Damien Halls or the John Kellys went at that as an intent to do it, it'd probably put it well out of reach for me. But as it stands at the minute, until it's broken, or if it's broken, then I'm going to have a crack at it, and I'll probably still have a go, even if someone like that does. It's just the training will be different, I suppose. The thought of trying to get as good as those guys is terrifying. But you know, I've years of building up like experience in this. I've got quite a lot of experience of drawing, you know, as an athlete, as a coach, as an RD. I've kind of been in the world of multi-daying, and the longer stuff suits me. I've never been particularly 50-mile or 30-mile quick, but I am good at multiple days. It's why I got into multi-daying. I'm quite good at consistently going. So I think it's like the perfect thing for me. I'm going to enjoy that. One of my favorite things I've ever done was I did a John O'Groats to Land's End run with a guy called Adam Kimball, and he's a phenomenal runner. You know, he's top 10 Western States finisher, and he whipped me all over the country. And but we did a self-sufficient Land's End to John O'Groats, including the 3 peaks, and it was like literally one of the best months of my life. Just no plan, bag on our backs, would sleep under a pub bench if we, you know, fell, and it was just, yeah. So I'm looking for that kind of stuff, but this one obviously, for the record, will be more supported, and I kind of like the idea of having a little crew with me and making an adventure of it. So
it's that path is absolutely gnarly in places, isn't it? Because I've run, and we've talked about this before. My brother lives in Poole, lives in Hamworthy, and I often will sort of run from his and go over the chain ferry and then run along the coastal path, and then sometimes we camp at a little campsite up on near Dancing Ledge, and then sort of run from the campsite down to Dancing Ledge and then run towards Durdle Door. And just that section from Dancing Ledge to Durdle Door, there's some absolutely epic ups and downs there, like all the cliffs and everything, and the views are absolutely spectacular. And people hike it and see those views, but running it, well, I say running it, there's a bit of running involved, but a lot of power hiking up those gradients.
And I think there'll be a lot of that because Christian's record's 10 days, which is phenomenal. You know, most people take like 3 weeks. You know, if you was leisurely doing it, it would take you 3 weeks. If you was a semi-decent runner, or even like a good runner, like most people probably are that listen to this podcast in some way, have got some experience of running, you would say, you know, 2 2 weeks or 20 days would be a comfortable stretch of time doing it. But to take 4 days and take it down to 10, that, you know, you're doing 60 miles a day, which it's like someone will go, well, that doesn't sound too much, but you're doing 60 miles on that.
On that.
And time becomes a different thing there. So, you know, my attitude is, it's quite easy to look at that record and think it might be soft, because you look at it and you go, 60 miles a day, I could do 60 miles a day. I have done 60 miles a day on multi-days before, but nothing like that up and down. And so much stuff can go wrong on that. And it is one of the trails that is obviously explored a lot by walkers and hikers, but I don't think runners really tend to. It's just so time consuming. So to take 2 weeks off to run it all, so they do it in sections, you know, they'll come and do a weekend here and a weekend there and stuff like that. But I just like the idea of taking a summer and just
I think it's not, you know, all the years I've been going down there and running on that bit of coastal path, I don't think I've ever really seen any other runners on there. It's what, like you say, it's you know, like you go up into the Peak District and you'll see hikers everywhere, but you'll also see fell runners everywhere on your travels. But down there, I don't think I've ever crossed paths with another runner. It's always been hikers, like families and couples, or hiking along the trail. But I've never really seen anyone running towards me or running in the same direction.
I think
it's probably one of the not lesser known, but for that kind of, because I always described it as the Peak District by the sea. That's how I described it to like people. What's the running like? I was like, it's like the Peak District, but by the sea.
Yeah, that's a fair view of it. But I think what you've got down here is you've got a very active community like you would have in the Lake District or the Peak District, but because it's not landlocked, it opens up so many other sports. So on a hot summer's day, you'll see loads of hikers, but then you'll also get loads of people down paddleboarding. And, you know, I'm into gig rowing, which is something that I never even heard of it before I moved down here.
Yeah, I've not heard of that. What's gig rowing?
So gig rowing is like 6 man on a boat. It's a wooden boat. You get these huge oars. I'm actually putting one up on our wall here in a couple of days' time, and it'll cover the whole wall. They're huge, these things. And yeah, there's a real kind of heritage sport down on the coast here. Super fun. And you know, so you get a lot of like cross sports here, swimmers and all those kind of things. So that there is a lot of running and a lot of runners, but in terms of, yeah, you'd see fell runners all over the place in Peak Districts. And so because they're outside of that and getting on a bike, there's or climbing, you're kind of that's your thing, isn't it? Where down here you've got those other sports and stuff. So but no, it's good. And you know, I'm just excited to kind of I've even though I've not been running properly for the last 3 or 4 years, I've been in and around multi-day runners and watching, and I've always been learning with it. So you know, I think that yeah, it's going to be a nice time from all of the Beyond the Ultimate experience to kind of add that into this kind of stuff.
Yeah, brilliant. So talk about Beyond the Ultimate then. How did that get started, and how has it progressed through the years?
It started by chance, really. It was a chance. You might, Accelerate store in Sheffield. I walked into that. Yeah, I walked into that store. I know Stu Hale, and the one of the guys that it was a founding idea at the time, Beyond the Ultimate. The 2 chaps that started it had a bit of a fallout, and one left, and the other one needed some help. And he went into Accelerate thinking, I need to find someone that knows a bit about running. And he spoke to Stu, and as I walked in, Stu turned and went, "He's your man. He'll do." And I only went in for like a new running bag or something. I was like, I'll do what? And you know, I can remember it was not long after there was a Richard Parkes documentary on Channel 5 where he did all 8 summits. But before he did the 8 summits, he made 2 shows on Channel 5, and one was doing the Yak Attack cycle race, which I think was in Nepal. Don't know if that's still a thing. And then it was the Jungle Ultra, which it was his second year. They'd done two jungles basically, and then came up with the idea of, we should do a desert over there. And then they fell out. So then, yeah, I came in and walked into Accelerate. 6 weeks later, I'm in the Amazon. Just kind of, I'd interviewed the next day, and I was at a time in my life where I just took a massive gamble. I ended a relationship. I was with a person for 8 years, and that was kind of organically coming to an end anyway. But it was that kind of double foot jump moment where I kind of sacrificed everything. And then, yeah, it's just been a slog. It's just been a typical founder's story where one person becomes obsessive about something until it can at least support one reasonably comfortable living. So you know, that's the plan. That was always the point to get it to. And then obviously we never I never thought that it would be what it is today with additional events and the spine and all that kind of stuff. But it's just saying yes to stuff as it comes along. Really, I'm not that good at saying no. So that's where we are now, and we're kind of like any other company that's had to go through COVID. We've had to, sit for a while and wait, and now, we've got that. We're just starting to see it kind of come back again. I think people last year were itching to travel, but were a bit pensive about booking, and now we're starting to see that people are looking at 24 and going, yeah, I think that's so it's no way near what it was. It's just, and it's getting there, but it's just a bit different now. Times are very different, and so yeah, we've had to kind of move what we offer and what we do, but we basically the Beyond the Ultimate races are just kind of pinnacle events. They're the kind of things that there's the odd people that want to do the series, which is fantastic. And, we also get people that just look at, like, I really want to test myself in the jungle, or I really want to test myself in the Arctic Circle, or I really want to test myself in a hot, extreme environment, and we kind of put them through the ringer. But I suppose the difference between us and people will have heard of the Marathon des Sables and all that kind of stuff. I suppose the difference with us is that we limit the field to like 40 or 70 people tops. So everyone is known. Our team is largely the same for each race. So if you do multiple races with us, you get the same kind of continual spine of a team. We limit the numbers. So it's a really personal, if anyone's listening that's done the Marathon des Sables, you'll realize that you get like a tent and you get really close to your 6 tent mates. Well, when you do the Arctic race with us, there's 40 and all 40 are your tent mates. So you get this kind of camaraderie, and so we end up with some really loyal, really, kind of like the spine, I suppose, like a little family of customers. I wouldn't go, it's getting dropped around a lot, isn't it, the Spine family name, and I wouldn't want to try and steal that. But no, it's it's good. It's just a really cool, I get to experience some really cool places and some really cool people, and that's ultimately job satisfaction. Tick.
Yeah. Which is your favorite race then out of the Beyond the Ultimate series?
Of all the races we do, I think the one that I like to work the most on is the ice, just because it's a hard working, I work on that one, and I feel a bit more like in the jungle now, it's almost on its 10th edition, and it's got to a point where the team is so big that I kind of sit and don't do much. So as much as I love the place, I kind of don't really unless I have to get my sleeves rolled up. So I like each race for different things, but I like the ice because of the kind of hard working, and I always come back absolutely exhausted and sleep for a week after that. I think the one that I'm most proud of, though, is the Rangers race, which obviously we've raised just under £500,000 in 4 editions for the Rangers there. And it's just a really unique event, and took a lot of time to put together and all that kind of stuff. So I think that's the one I'm most proud of. But that was a partnership with Save the Rhino, the charity, and then an organization called For Rangers. So there's a lot of people, a lot of moving parts. To piece all that together was quite a lot of hard work. So it's good, and I think each race has its own perks, I suppose.
You're all different. So I said we wouldn't talk too much about the spine, but how does the spine? How did all of that happen? Then the coming together of Beyond the Ultimate and the spine race.
Well, we sort of worked collaboratively anyway. We shared some assets. Let's say, not to call a person an asset, but for example, Will Roberts, who does the media for the spine, was also our media manager. So when they rang Will to do the coverage, Will said, can I have the time off? And I don't know if it was me and Scott, I can't remember back in the day, but we had a quick conversation. I was like, absolutely, yeah, cool. So he booked the time off with us, went and worked with the spine, and just loved it. So there was that. And then we formed as a company the same time as XR Medics when they were a thing before, sadly they didn't make it through COVID, and then Spine used XR Medics. So there was already that thing in common. And then, yeah, I think I just had a few conversations with Scott, 1 or 2 over the years, and we kind of got we just were speaking with one of the beyond the ultimate team, Archie was speaking to them, and it just kind of happened. We kind of knew that something was happening at the spine, and there was going to be a change of team. And then basically, the long story short was we were set up for all international operations, but didn't have anything based in the UK. So we had nothing in the UK, no kit or anything. And Spine had events in the UK, but we're looking at expanding internationally. So what they had, we didn't, and what we had, they didn't. Yeah, and then we share staff and share resources and all that kind of stuff. And both companies were growing at a similar rate, so it just worked. It was a match made in heaven, really. So we were just dead keen on trying to get it, and it was funny because it was just about to happen, and then that was around about the January of 2020, and then this little thing was coming on the news about this sickness bug. And then so we had to remake the decision if we definitely were in the March, and that was such a weird decision to make because you're kind of seeing the world burn around you, and it's not the time to invest in something. Yeah. And it was for me personally, it was every last penny I had, so it was a huge gamble. Again, risk taking. You can see it. You can see a theme. So yeah, we just did that, but the team that we have is ace. So I just had loads of faith that it would work out, and so far, touch wood,
yeah,
it is. And you've obviously seen how the back of the race works now, haven't you? So you see the kind of the hub of the team kind of purring away in the background and stuff like that. What was your thoughts, like seeing that side of it?
It was. I mean, I the first time I volunteered last year on last winter Spine, I was just at the checkpoint. I was at Middleton, and I absolutely loved it. And then kind of in between time, I've been doing bits and bobs of filming and stuff like that, and I managed to sort of wangle my way into filming at Western States last summer. And then after that, I got in touch with Will, and I was like, I want to come back to the Spine, but can I come back and somehow work on the media team? Are you doing any filming or anything? And it was like, what can you offer? And I was like, well, I'm not a photographer. I've been a photographer's assistant. My wife was a wedding photographer for many years, and I used to go and be the second photographer with her. So I can take a photo. I know how to take a photo. I don't have any camera equipment, but I do have a GoPro that I can use, and I use it a lot. And then I said, I'll have a van for the whole week with the ability to drive anywhere in the country. And he was like, right, you're in.
You're in. Yeah, because Will doesn't drive, so I said, we've got my driver sorted. No.
That was it. So that was, I think that was the selling point for Will. It was like, right, he's got a van, he can drive and he can volunteer for the week, so he's in. Yeah. So I just turned up with my GoPro and just Will lent me a camera and just sort of just figured out that I could do these little clips and upload them quickly to the Instagram and Facebook and stuff, and it seemed to work. So we had fun, and I said I'll definitely be coming back.
Oh, you are though, aren't you? But just running it.
Yeah. So.
I cracked it. I wasn't there when they did the live ballot for the thing, but I did crack a smile because I recognised a couple of names from the SST team. So I knew Caroline was going, damn it, and I saw your name, and Will would be going, damn it, all of our teams won.
Well, that was it, because I mean I put in for it last year, and I remember somebody saying, oh yeah, the chances of getting in are quite good. So last year I was thinking, oh, okay, maybe I'll get in, and I didn't get in. And I was like, I can see that it's probably like quite slim chances that I'm going to get a place, but I'll put in anyway. So I just put in for the lottery this year, and I was at the gym, and like Friday afternoon at the gym, and suddenly like, my phone was on the side near me, and suddenly just like loads of messages all started coming up really quickly, one after another. And I was like, well, that's weird. What is it? And then I saw that the top message was from Dean Reed. And I was like, oh, no, I know what this is. So I picked my phone up, and sure enough, he was like, have you checked your email? I was like, oh, I know what this is. And then I went onto the Facebook page and saw that there was the video there of the live drawing. And I was literally the last name that was drawn at the barrel. And And I thought, did Will actually know it was me when he read out my name at the end? So I like sent him a message saying like, did you know do you know you just lost a member of the media team for next year? And he was like, well, I'm such a professional that I didn't react to it on camera. I just cursed you as soon as the camera went off.
Yeah.
I was like, no, you just forgot who I was, that's all. So
Yeah.
I you know, I absolutely love the race. I've always sort of viewed it as not really my kind of race, because I've like, my sort of ultra career has been carved out of like 50k trail races and above, up to like 50 milers. That's kind of been my sweet spot, where the majority of all the races I've won have either been 50ks or slightly that and above, up to about 50 miler. I've only, you know, I've come second in like 100k, but 120k is the furthest I've ever done in a race, and was just quite happy to have got to that point. And I thought, always in the back of my mind, I need to do I mean, I've done a couple of multi-day races, but I thought in the back of my mind, really, as I'm getting older now, I probably need to start looking at the really long stuff, because my speed is going to go, but my endurance will stay the same or get better, hopefully. So I thought that was sort of my first inkling as to getting interested in the spine, and that's why I volunteered for it last year. So I thought, if I'm going to go for the long stuff, then I want to sort of get in there and see what it's like, and see how bad it is. And that kind of gave me confidence that the race is as bad as I imagined it is. But it's once you know, sometimes knowing what you're up against is kind of is in your favor, isn't it? And I kind of thought this year, having been on media and seeing pretty much every single bit of the course, like following everybody up, I realized that I understand how tough the race is and how long it is, but knowing that I've seen bits of the routes, and now feel a bit more confident about, you know, I wasn't devastated when my name was drawn. Basically, I thought, okay, I don't know whether I'm ready for it, but I'm going to do it anyway.
But that's a lot of people's journeys, right? A lot of people come onto the volunteering side, or they do one of the kind of splinter races that's now like the sprint or the northern or all those kind of things, just to do that. And that's great. What a way to experience it. And I was very aware in all of this. I know we've been talking about like how the companies and like the business side of it, but that we were all aware as a team that actually the paperwork of who owns the race is sort of irrelevant. It's almost like who's the guardian of it, because it's owned really by the community, which made us nervous at the beginning of not making any changes or doing anything or suggesting, because we just watched and listened and learned and observed, and any changes have to be done slowly and kind of considered and stuff. And we've got, I'd like to think we've got most of our decisions right. We sometimes we litmus test it and get it wrong, but it is an interesting race because it's got this community ownership. It's not complete like beyond the ultimate. There, we've got a loyal client base that's always growing, but we can change and swap and do these kind of things without much kind of resistance or having to think about who to ask. Where with the spine, it's a lot of, any small change affects a lot of things. So you've got and it's such a big beast of a thing. So yeah, we were all aware that we were kind of just guardians of it rather than anything like that. So that's the way I see it in particular. I don't really like. That's why I say I'm part of the spine team. I don't really like saying I own any part of it because it just doesn't feel that way. But no, it's a great race, and I think it's one of those unique events. Well, in fact, actually, while we're recording this, I think if I check, literally launching fully the Arctic race now. So the Spine Arctic is going to it's kind of gone with the full video. Wow. So you'll be able to watch it after this. It's awesome. It's amazing. So that one now is in full speed and throttle to kind of go, and Phil's working hard to bring that event to life. So yeah,
amazing. Yeah, I saw the advert for it earlier in the week, and I put on that it was been added to my bucket list of races to do in life.
It's interesting because Phil's got that Arctic explorer background, and he kind of came into this stuff, and he's now going back to what he's kind of gone on this similar journey as me, and he's going back into what he loves, into the Arctic kind of stuff, where he is honestly when I I love that environment, but when he's there, it's almost like he's born into it. Like he's insanely, not that he's not a happy guy anyway, but he's like a kid in a candy shop the second he starts getting around -30s. He's a bit of a strange man. Stick some skis on him and he's on his way. But yeah, so that's just it's an exciting future for both brands, and we've just got to keep going, really.
Yeah, it's interesting. We're talking about the Spine family and everything, and how difficult it can be to alter things. Like I came sort of into my first sort of introduction to that was I did the inaugural, the first summer spine sprint when they put that on. Was that 21 or was that 20? Is it 21 or 20?
21, I think. Yeah,
summer 21.
It's 21. Yeah,
I
think so.
Did that.
Kind of blurry those 2 years.
Yeah, all kind of merged into one, isn't it? Yeah. So I did that, and I got the sort of the invite to join the Spine Facebook group, and like once you're in that group, you realize how like obsessed people are with the race and with and kits. And I know you obviously need a lot of kit for any of the Spine races, but it's kind of on another level, isn't it? The kind of interest in tiny little details of kit and where you can get it from.
It's
and
good.
Then being shot down by Lindley and everything.
I feel like it's a rite of passage. It's a rite of passage. If you get, there's certain things if you go through, if you ask that kind of question, you take them. And but no, that everyone knows that as you start to go in, and it's part of the charm of the race, and just part of what it is. It's those fine intricate things, and people are rightly passionate about it, and we love that, and wouldn't change it. So it is like that community owns the race. It's not like any family doesn't always see eye to eye. Yeah, like sometimes we make decisions that might be, you could make a decision that's unpopular, but it's the right decision, or you can make you don't have to always. And that's the where we're starting over time to get a little bit braver. I think it's like, well, when we're going to make the right decision, it might not be the most popular, but it's the right decision, and this is why. And then what happened, and what we've learned over time is actually, as long as like any family or any kind of working, as long as you communicate out effectively, everyone is fine. So we've kind of learned that as we've gone, and I'd like to think that we've got some bits of that right, or corrected any bits that we've got wrong. And yeah, this is just an exciting time, and I think it's always it's great to have people. Lots of these opinions and lots of these things have made it what it is, so we're never going to want to change that. And so there's so many individuals that can be part of that and have the input, and it's cool. Really cool. What
are sort of kind of like blue sky thinking? Have you got any ideas that you're sort of floating for the future as far as other avenues to take the races in, or
the UK
places?
Well, so anyway, no, there's no intention for any more UK races. So we stretched out for the sprint for a couple of reasons. There was requests for it. Lots of requests for it, and actually as a safety feature, the 30 odd miler is a better stepping stone than just jumping at 109. The market, the whole ultra running market has changed. There's more people running, there's more people at the beginning of the journey, and sometimes those people don't really understand what 109 mile on the Pennine Way is. So if they find that out in the 30 miler, and that we find that there was one summer Spine where we was at about a 50% participation for women on that event, which is amazing. And that because I think women tend to be a little bit more reserved and would rather progress up rather than it's not all. I don't want to make a fully stereotypical case, but we know that that's more likely for a progressional journey for a woman. So that's great. We have other people, you've got a better opportunity for more diverse runners and stuff like that. So there's a lot of benefits to that. I know there's quite a protectionist view from some people about protecting keeping things as the same and stuff. Then the Northern Challenger, if you scroll back in the Facebook group, that thing was asked about 5 years ago, 6 years ago, and then you kind of see the chain of like, oh, you should do a Northern, and we can't, logistically it'd be impossible, and and then we just, because the race has grown and the logistics have grown, it unlocked the ability to do the Northern one. And so that was the journey of that. My personal dream when we kind of was in that thing, progression of coming in, is I wanted the summer event to be its own race, as just as good as the winter in some ways. And that's what we spent a lot of our early days as a team doing, is making the summer event its own event. So Fusion and Flare, all those kind of naming conventions dropped, and our marketing team, like Simon, everyone did a fantastic job of kind of just bringing everything together to make it. This is the new summer race, and so they're the kind of things we're doing, and we've done what people have requested and asked, and I think that's it. That's it for the UK. So the Spine's eyes are now firmly international. So Phil's looking at Arctic races and stuff, and then with Beyond the Ultimate, we've got our international races, and we're looking at kind of sticking it where we are. So I think we're pretty much there on both brands now, and then you get to a point where the calendar just gets too hectic. We've got one event a month now. You know, we roll. If you look at our calendar year, it's Winter Spine, then it's Arctic, what will be Arctic Spine, Ice Ultra, April's Highland, then it's Jungle, and then Summer Spine straight after that, and then it'll be Mountain Ultra, and then it'll be, you know, so it literally one after another, and you just think, well, we can't put much more into that without fundamentally growing with the team. So it's no
space basically for any more.
Running out of time. But no, so that's that. We it's a forever changing fluid, so I don't want to be quoted with this in 6 or 7 years, but I know that there's no appetite at the minute to do much more. We're happy with the way things are, and we'll just progress to make the experience as good and as unique as possible for runners and volunteers and medics and all that kind of stuff. That's where our time will be spent now.
Yeah, excellent. So as far as you then, sort of away from the Spine and Beyond the Ultimate, what sort of projects have you got on? I know you've got your long-term running projects. What, you know, being like a new dad, how did that kind of change your perspective on life and how you viewed things?
Massively, yeah. I think anyone, have you got kids?
Yeah. 2 daughters, yeah.
So you'll know yourself, there's life before and life after, isn't there? It's fundamentally different the second that you become a dad. And I found it particularly hard to be, I mentioned it on another podcast recently, is I just went through a load of life stuff, and as I got a little bit older, I kind of resolved a lot of issues that were going on in my life and things. And so yeah, I've kind of got to this point now where I'm having to battle with myself to try and be a little bit selfish with my time and take it away from work, and possibly, you know, so when Ari goes to bed at 7, I go for a run then late at night, or try and do it in the morning before we do the school run. And it's just that usual parent stuff. You've got to sneak it in, and if you want it bad enough,
you'll do it.
Yeah, I can remember watching a Jasmine Paris interview where she'd be getting up at 4 a.m. and running 3 hours before her day started, and you know, she's quite a good runner, Jasmine, isn't she? So yeah, if you want it bad enough, you'll just change your life around. But I think that's personally for me, that was it. And then I got into, I mentioned like gig rowing. That's a fantastic sport, and for me, it's quite unique to be in a team sport. I've never been a team sport guy, so all the pressure of trying to perform in a team and not letting them down is a weird thing. And my biggest weakness, I think, is, and this always affected my running, it affects my business, even being an dad, I put far too much pressure on myself all the time. Like not really, when I raced, I wasn't competitive about racing with others, but I wanted to have the best race that I could, and probably would chew myself up and blow up over it because I'd just get in my own head. So that's the, I'm not perfect by any means, but that's probably where I am now, is the fact that I've got to a point where the pressure cap's released a little bit. I'm enjoying running. I'm running for the love of it. It's sometimes quite hard when you work and play with running, you know, like when you're trying to take a bit off work and you're going for a run, it can sometimes, so that's where rowing slots in. It's a different sport, and it's different people, and I get training too. Yeah, exactly. It's no impact. I mean, my hands are a wreck. You can see they're covered of blisters, and all these weird muscles are hurting that, you know, never used to. But and I can walk around and say I'm a rower, which coming from inner city Doncaster would be a thing that I ever thought I would say. But yeah, no, it's cool.
So just thinking of that location then, where you are in Poole, so did you move there for love then, or was it for work, which was the
family
reason?
Yeah, so I'm out of the country for about 6 months of the year with work, which is another reason why I have to be incredibly selective with my time for when I'm here. But yeah, the trade-off was, Claire was like, look, you can go work away if you want, but I have to be near my family, and
Yeah.
you know, she grew up here, so we're near grandma and all that kind of stuff. So not a bad compromise. Get to live on the south coast near the beach, so it wasn't a hard decision for me. I used to live in Leeds before, and I wasn't too attached to that.
So talking about you running, then, what's out of all of the races beyond the ultimate races and spine races and stuff, which is the one that you would want to do for yourself?
So I've ran the desert. I love that, but there's something about running your own race that is it's never going to be the same when you're running your own race. So I've actually signed up for 2 races, mud crew events, which makes sense. They're down on the south coast and stuff like that, and it's detached. But I think I would love to do the spine. I can't, you know, because I just can't. But I'd love to have done this one. It's the one bad thing is that I can't experience it as a punter. If I do it now, it's not going to be the same as going at it when it's not yours. So I would have, the spine is exactly my kind of cup of tea as an event, the long kind of self-sufficient stuff. But yeah, no, most of the other events that I've designed, I've ran in some capacity, where, like on recce's and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, I think yeah, definitely either, probably summer spine. I don't know if I'm that much of a sadist as a yeah, I mean, my first winter spine where I went, it was the first one that we did after COVID, and I was there watching it kind of unfold, and not many people knew about the team changing and stuff. It was a really unique way for me to watch the race, and just seeing some of those, you know, it just reminded me of like, oh God.
Was that so was that last winter then? Was that winter 21?
It was the first winter event we did after COVID.
Yeah.
Because the first thing we did is we kind of came on board. And
so I think that's when that must be when I met you then, when I met you in Will for the first time. I remember talking to you at Middleton, and I realised that I'd listened to you and Will on the Beyond the Ultimate podcast, and I was like, that's the connection now. I understand the connection now. Yeah. So you were sort of traveling around, just going like hopping to all.
I was doing the broom wagon. I was picking up all the I was doing the broom wagon, and so it's quite a good way to kind of see everything. So I was doing that, and you know, trying to perk people up when they you know, got picked up and their race was over and all that kind of, you know, oh, I'll be all right, you'll get it next year, that kind of stuff. But yeah, no, it was good. It's cool. I like those kind of jobs. I would never expect anyone to do something that I wouldn't do. So it doesn't. So it didn't matter what role I had. I just wanted to be there and in amongst it. So and there was, you know, some wild stories of people that I picked up, and they were all over the place. You know, I got plenty of fun doing that.
Yeah, it's amazing the stories that come out of the spine, isn't it? You just think that everyone, you know, just gets on with it, but everyone's an individual, aren't they, in that race? And it's such a long race that so much stuff can go wrong or change over days and days and days. There must be so many stories that we don't even know about from that race.
Well, that's my main motive. Honestly, that's my main motivation. That's 100%. When we had to stop events on COVID, I didn't realize how much I needed that. But there's call it kind of, I don't know, is it egotistical or what? But there's a gratification that comes with someone having a life-changing experience on your kind of
on your race,
on your watch. Yes, so it's the stage that you've set. I always say, like on our Beyond the Ultimate events, we set the stage. The runners are the actors, and they make the show. It's up to them how it kind of turns out. But there's no better feeling for me that when, you know, I'm on the finish line of one of my races, we've worked really hard to deliver it. They're always hard work, no matter what event it is. Everyone in the team is exhausted and worked hard, and then you get this kind of life-changing journey for someone. And I got this beautiful message, like even just yesterday, and I get random ones, and I'm like, that is the reason for all the shit that we went through. I mean, I could read you it.
Yeah, do it.
I'll keep the name off. But yeah, it was I just thought it was, when you get these messages from time to time, it just kind of, and it came out of the blue, it just came randomly. I think let's have a look. Sorry, I'm having to scroll down. But when you get that, I think as an event director, it's almost just like, it's better than any currency, it's better than any kind of payment. And I know it doesn't put butter on your bread or food, dinner on the table, but
It gives you the motivation to keep going, doesn't it? If you know that you're making
100%. It kind of reminds you of there. So this is a runner that did the Faranges race, and but it's been over 6 months since the Faranges Ultra, and I just want to drop you a line to share a little about the after effects. Don't panic, they're good. The Faranges race remains my only endurance event until I save up for a stab at the jungle. I've never done anything like it before. I'd always consider myself afflicted with mid-level laziness. I'm a great one for procrastination. I'm very fortunate to lead a comfortable, if routine life. 30 years in a safe job, never gone for promotion, keep my own patch tidy, don't take work home with me. It's allowed me to travel the world and bring up a healthy, happy daughter, but it's generally been the path traveled rather than the more adventurous alternative. The Faranges Ultra was the first time I'd ever taken on a challenge totally outside my comfort zone. I can honestly say it was one of the best weeks of my life. I was smiling from ear to ear throughout. The heat, miles, aches, and privations simply heightened the senses. Camaraderie among your team and the participation was uplifted in the best way. Since my return, this is the bit that got me. Since my return, I've genuinely felt bulletproof. My sense of self-worth has been elevated and I've had an unusual calm about me, which I like to think has helped me make me a nicer all-round, more used to my family. And in short, it's a very, very long time since I've experienced this sort of contentment. Pass on my thanks to the team. You've provided me with powerful memories that I'll carry with me forever. Amazing. You know, like, it's fair. That's just a nice message that I get out of the blue. And then you just think, you know, when someone says, why do you do what you do? Yeah, there's the cool glitz and glamour and travel and stuff, but it's 100% that. It's absolutely that absolutely drives me. So
that's the nature of it, though, isn't it? With really, really long, hard events, they teach you so much about yourself, don't they? And probably
that's why we all love it. That's why no one gets to the finish line, or even if you don't make it to the finish line, no one does that journey and ends up the same way. Yeah. Something changes with that person, and sometimes they're fundamental difference that make them better at home or happier. And God knows number of reasons why we do all these things, whether it's to some form of therapy or some whatever. But at the end of the day, when you get to these events and you kind of succeed in whatever it is, whether the end goal is the succession or just kind of getting as far as you've ever gotten or having I'm absolutely addicted to that, which is why I got into it in the first place and why I hope I'm always in it for my career as long as I can muster the strength to do it. And hopefully maybe one day my daughter Arabella is having a crack at it. That'd be good.
Yeah, it's interesting to watch your kids as they grow. So my oldest Tilly, she's nearly 13, and she does cross country. She went to like the county cross country and everything. And I see so many, like as they get older, you start to see all of the good qualities, but you also see all of the bad qualities that they've got from you. And she absolutely loves running, and she loves racing. She loves going to the cross country like events with her mates and everything. But she doesn't train. She's bad. Like I will like try and convince her to train, and she's like, "No, I'm okay." And then she'll panic like a month before the event and want to train. and I don't never force her into training. I just let her sort of get on with it. And then I've got Polly, my youngest daughter. She's like 11, and she is slowly working her way up to getting fitter and fitter and wanting to do stuff. She used to be a little bit lazy. If she ever listens to this, she'll batter me. But she was a little bit lazy. But now I'm starting to see that actually out of the two of them, she's probably going to be the ultra runner because she's got the stubbornness that you need to be an ultra runner, to sort of to never back down and to just keep going and keep going.
Yeah.
As much as I want them to be runners, you know, I accept the fact that they love horse riding and they'd rather ride a horse than run on a trail. But
you've got to plant the seed, mate. You've just got to plant the seed. That's what you've got to do. My football team's West Ham. Even though I kind of grew up in the north, my granddad's from Stepney Green, and all of my family are Cockneys and stuff. So I got her a West Ham t-shirt, like jersey, the other day, and she didn't want to wear it, and she said, "I want to play tennis instead." I was like, I've just paid 40 quid for this bloody, paid 40 quid for this thing, and tennis lessons aren't cheap. So no, you're gonna play football. She's asked, 2 years old, asked to go to nursery on a West Ham top to down. I'm like, yes, just didn't put the pressure on her, and she's now trotting around a nursery a couple of mile away. You know, hopefully she, singing "I'm Forever Blowing Bubbles" at the teachers. And Green Street, like starting on people and stuff. So hopefully that'll make me a proud dad.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, so lots to look forward to in the future.
Definitely.
Well, I really appreciate you coming on, Kris, and talking to us about lots of different things, lots of philosophical, if I can even say the word, philosophical things we've talked about, and it's great to see that you're back and you're raring to go with your running and everything, and when you've completed the Southwest Coast path and you've got the new FKT, you're most welcome to come back on and tell me how easy it was.
You'll be running it with me, mate. Come on, get down there.
Well, actually, I thought I wouldn't mind coming down and doing at least the bit I know, which is like door back to Poole.
Cool.
I'd be happy to come and support you on that. That'd be great.
You've committed now. That's
it. I've said it on.
You've picked the slowest leg as well. That'll be when I'm done. Yeah, battered.
Perfect. So I'll carry your stuff for you. I'll be in your I'm happy to do that.
Well, thanks,
awesome. Thanks for coming on, mate. Cheers for
that.
See you.